So now you want to look at the pick, which you can do through the setup menu here, learn pick, or select from here, pick. So here are the parts that were available for me to place, and there's no reason for these locations, they just happen to be in a good location on the feeder tray. So here is the 0.1 or 0.01 microfarad, and here's the 10 picofarad. We'll go ahead and learn the pick of the 10 picofarad. So select the line that you want, and here's the library. So I guess before we teach the physical location, we just type in here whatever you want your part to be called. Obviously 10 picofarad, 1 microfarad, these are all good names. 1K, 10K, and then the library. The machine needs to know what does the part look like, because there is machine vision on this machine, and it will look for something that is reference to this library. So this is a C0805 part. So I can double click in here and the library comes up that's in the machine. You can teach your own parts through this, and we can show you that later. So here's all the parts that you can have, that you can choose from. So a C0805 size capacitor is what I need, what I want. Click select, and there it is. And since it's a 10 picofarad, that's just what I called it. It's an AF08 feeder, which is an 8mm feeder, and that's what most of the feeders will be. And then, of course, all of the alignment. So we want to teach where it is. So we can have that row selected and click Learn by Camera up here. And so what it did was automatically index one index, which you can see here also. These are the empty ones. And what you want to do is line up the crosshairs with the pocket, not with the part, because the part could float anywhere within that pocket. So what you want to do is line up that icon, that overlay, with the pocket only. So we can click OK, and that is the location for the 10 picofarad. It also needs to know the height of that part. So we can go up here and click Learn the pick height. So what it will do is go down just like it did to learn board height, but in this case an 805 is small enough and light enough that as the nozzle is going down to learn the height, the part can get sucked up and you'll get a false height. So the industry has come up with a reference, which is actually the tape right here. This tape, paper tapes specifically, are supposed to be the exact same height of the part. So we can do a learn height right there, and it will be the height of the part. So we click OK. And then once the height is detected, click OK. And then OK again to exit. When you also do the picking, there's lots of tray feeders that you might need to do. So in the tape tube feeder is where you'll do a lot with the feeders that face you. Over here in the tray feeder is where if you have a tray or the strip of tape, all you have is 10 components or 15 components, and you want to just pick up from there. So here's one that's already populated, and we can go through one. So all of these, most of these are in the strip holder. Other ones are taped down with double-sided tape. So we can see here, if we choose this one and do Learn by Camera, it'll go to a strip feeder. If we go to the 22 microfarad down here, this one was too large to go in the strip feeder, so we use double-sided tape. And you can see here, this is the double-sided tape here on this black aluminum plate. So you can see it's just held down double-sided tape, and these are the pockets. And this is actually the transformer right here. And over here is this strip. There we go, and there's the capacitors. Then over here is a tube that has chips in it, ICs. You can hit cancel. So what you want to do for this 100 picofarad here is do a learn by camera. You want to go find where that is. And I already know where it is, and you want to make sure your tray is put to an origin that you know and you can repeat. So there it is at an origin. When you reload these, it might be off a little bit. It might show here. So again, you want to center to the pocket of where it is. And this tape here is the 100 microfarad or picofarad. So here we go. We center to it. Hit OK. And then it wants you to program the other end of the strip. And here's the other end of the strip. So we'll go to the center of the pocket. And you can see I've already been picking out of this one. So we hit OK, and there it is. Now, you also want to learn the pick height, and you can do that through this pick height button up here again. And the unique thing about this you have to watch is you need to keep track of how many it's picked up to make sure it equals. So right here is how many are in the X direction. So you can do this in a matrix also. If you have a whole tray of 10 by 20 parts, so then you'd have 200 total parts, and you would tell it, I have 20 in the X direction and 10 in the Y direction. And of course your first and last pick would be diagonal instead of on one line. So we have 35 parts on that tape, and since it's a tape, we only have one in the Y direction. And the last time we used this tape, it counted up to 11 pieces, or 10 pieces were used. So the 11th one is the next one in queue. So if we go to this part, just do a learn by camera, and we can count 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and the 11th one would be the one to be picked up. And you can see I only peeled back the tape up to this one, so this can be moved around and handled, and we don't lose more parts until we're ready to produce another board. So I'd have to peel the tape back on the next production. It's a good idea to just peel back enough to what you're going to use and cut it off. So we're at the 11th one. Do a cancel because we're not teaching the location, and make sure that this is at 11. And once you put a new tape in there, you would want to reset this to 0 or reset this to 1 and relearn, or you really need to relearn, but you would need to readjust because the tape, you're not going to get back in there exactly as it was before. And then as far as the other one goes, the double-sided tape, if we look at the 22 microfarads, and this one is going to the wrong location because the tray or the aluminum plate is just floating there in the left and right direction. So you can see I can just move it around, and I know that's where the capacitor strip is. So we want to program it to the pocket, and that's the first pocket, even though it's an empty pocket. Click OK. Then it goes up, and here's the last pocket. You can kind of see it through the tape film over it. And it is at an angle, you've probably noticed, but it doesn't matter that it picks up the part at a slight angle, and it's taught at a slight angle, because when it picks it up, it'll use the machine vision to make sure it places it down correctly. And then we click OK. And since there's 20 parts on that tape feeder, it is saying that number 9 is the next one that should be picked. And we can go check that out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. The 17th one is actually the next one that would be picked, and we'd have to peel back the tape also. So we hit cancel since we're not teaching that, and change this one to what it needs to be. And that's it. Everything else is the same as it would be for the tape or tube feeder. And if we scroll over, we can see the other parameters of what camera to use, what nozzle to use. You can change that. You don't want to change the nozzle to a completely different color, or else the trained image won't recognize it because the nozzle will look differently. The vacuum, and of course, if it's polarity, all this other stuff can be changed.